Oh, hey, deserving listeners. It's time to watch 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You really deserve it. Let's watch.
We're safe. We're safe.
Okay, sit. Daddy, and you and I were all safe here sleeping, and these guys were.
Okay, so Ed, is telling his mom about what happened last night at the date and about the gunshots they heard and how scary it was. And, of course, the mom is shocked by this and happy that everyone's okay. And she is scared. And Ed was saying, my life flashed before my eyes. I saw you. I saw my dog. And, okay. People don't like Ed, so I'm sure there's things you could nitpick about that. But, all of us, if we were in a restaurant and we heard gunshots outside and everyone comes rushing in, it would be scary. And to, you just have all sorts. So we just have to have some sympathy for Ed in this situation and the mom now having heard about it. In addition to that, there's just something a little interesting about the way the mom... I talk about this sometimes. Inadvertently, I've become a bit of a professional observer of crying. By the way, I saw Sing 2 the other day and cried like half of the movie, even during parts where it wasn't even supposed to make you cry. There's just something about music, and the music in that musical cartoon is actually fantastic. I'm pretty picky about musical things, but Sing 2 I just found Sing 1 was great, but I thought Sing 2 was also anyway. Why am I mentioning that? Crying. Yeah, so I become inadvertently I became a bit of a professional observer of crying because I would see clients cry, I would see students cry. There would be days where at the end of the day I would look back on my workday and I would count the amount of people who were crying, and I was the main person as a professor or a therapist or supervisor that was there to helping them or even provoking them to cry, and not to hurt their feelings, but to ask them about their feelings and to go in a direction in my discussions with them that I kind of knew might lead to emotion and maybe crying in addition. And so I've become a bit of a connoisseur, if you will, of crying displays. And there's just something a little interesting about the mom's display. I don't know what's going on. There's cameras around. Maybe, she's a little quirky. She's not terribly quirky, but there's just something about her display. And I'm always looking for, what happened to Ed when he was growing up. We know that his dad was stern. We learned a little bit more about his childhood. And it's hard to know, but we have to wonder about Ed and his mom's relationship. It seems pretty good. The mom seems pretty fair and nice, non-aggressive, non-passive aggressive, pretty caring but we don't know. So I'm always looking for what was going on there. Did the mom have some kind of issue that resulted in Ed's issues? And the first thing that I can kind of see, I think, is the mom's crying in this instance. I'm like, am I nitpicking? Probably. Let's watch.
No, Mom, we all have guardian angels, I think. Our guardian angels were looking out after all of us.
Every one of you had a
every
guardian
one of
angel.
us. But Mom, Coyote was the first person I grabbed. I took her to the bathroom and I held her.
You would
I will say that there's an interesting narrative that Ed has about this, which is not terrible, but it stinks of toxic masculinity and misogyny and sexism, in that we had two people who were scared, both of them. Both had life flashing before their eyes. Both were cowering in the bathroom, hoping that they wouldn't get killed. And for him, he is trying to be the man and the chivalrous one by comforting her and holding Coyote during this situation, putting his own fear aside to take care of her. So on one hand, that's great. He's caring for her. He is being nice. He's altruistic in that way. He's, noticing her feelings, attuning to her feelings. On the other hand, you might be denying your own fear, one. It doesn't seem like that's really happening. But the other thing is that he is capitalizing on a scary moment that's happening to everyone so he can demonstrate his masculinity in some way, or his superior nature or something. I don't know. Given everything else that we've seen about Ed, I think it's notable that the way he tells the stories it's very much about how he highlights it. I don't know how many times he's mentioned it, that I was there, I was holding her, she was crying. Oh, by the way, we went in the bathroom, she was crying, I was holding her. Yeah. So the gunshots, went into the bathroom, I was holding her, I was comforting her, she was crying. And so on one hand, good, you care, you're attuned, you're being altruistic, you have compassion. Of course, it's good. I mean, we could see worse reactions, like him scolding her for crying, or I don't know, ignoring Coyote or something, or running in a different direction, not being there for her. So we could see worse situations, but I don't know. I'm just like, given all that I've seen about Ed and given all the discourse on the internet around Ed, it's just, I'm probably nitpicking, but let's continue watching. Hey, deserving listeners, as you all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
Like, I've been so focused on my past and Liz and Mom, none of that matters anymore. Like, I don't care about that. Like,
See?
I think it brought Coyote and I closer together. I kind of feel like I have a window, like an opportunity to take this to the next step.
Again, I don't know if I'm nitpicking, but again, a window, meaning I think, given what we know about Ed, he's thinking, oh, okay, now I have this leverage, now that we've had this intense emotional. I wonder if anyone's speculating that Ed manufactured or staged this. I'm sure that didn't happen, but anyway, the gun situation. But so okay, so if we're going off of the theory, the hypothesis that Ed believes that he is not lovable, he believes he is deeply unlovable, and no one will ever accept him, no one will ever love him for who he really is. And he defensively covers that up with bravado and, well, not bravado so much, but grandiosity and narcissism. And we've seen that mode that he goes into. And when he goes into the mode when Rose left him, periodically he would go into this mode of like, no one's ever going to love me. But it's not a very... there's not a lot of growth seemingly that happens during those times. Now, he's in therapy, so maybe he has done some growth. We would hope so. But if that's happening and in baseline you believe that you're unlovable, then you don't believe that you can just date people and have them love you. And when Liz drives a coworker home who is a man, it challenges that idea that you are unlovable. You have massive amounts of hurt, even though it wasn't it's not rational to be hurt by that, because Liz actually, according to the news reports, Liz called Ed, and according to the phone call, to say, is it okay if I drive this guy home? He needs a ride home. Is that okay with you? You're my boyfriend. I'm going to drive this guy home. Is that okay with you, Ed? And Ed said, yeah. And then afterwards, Ed's hurt and jealousy built up, and then we heard that phone call of him just berating Liz. And so if you believe that you're not lovable, you believe that you have to have an angle, a strategy, some kind of extra juice, if you will, to get you into someone else's good graces. And so he's like, oh, maybe this is a window. Instead of just believing, hey, if I'm just me, maybe people will like me or they won't. If they like me, maybe we're made for each other. If they don't like me, maybe we're not made for each other. Instead, it's this one track, mind of, I need to get her to like me. I need to get that confirmation. I don't know if this is true, but it's possible. I need to get that confirmation that she likes me so I can believe that I'm okay. And I have to figure out a strategy. There has to be some advantage that I can use to get in there. So that seems to be what he's saying, but I don't know.
I'm just feeling a really great bond with her. And I want this to work out because I don't have a lot of time. I'm 56. So this could be my last chance to find, love.
Others have said this, Kimberly, Kim and Usman, Kim was saying this as well. She's like 51 or something. And this idea of, this is my last chance. Because this is how we look at, middle-aged or older people in the United States in particular, that your life is basically over, particularly if you're a woman, by the way. But even as a man, apparently, for Ed, past a certain age, why would you think that this is your last chance? You, on average, Ed, are going to live another 20 years, which actually doesn't sound like that long of a time. I'm not that much younger than Ed. So, but anyway, 20 years is a long time. Anyway, you can have a lot of relationship in that time. So, definitely it's not your last chance, Ed. Come on. And this idea has been pumped into our heads, right? It's like past a certain point, you're just like irrelevant as a human in all ways. All right. Well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.